Welcome back. I am Felix, and I am reacting to 25 inventive products from the 2000s that failed miserably. Yeah, let's try to do that all in one breath. I wonder how many of these I'll recognize. I'm just kind of curious. Uh, Trying to do. I remember what's it, the bacon thing? You hang the bacon and it went in the microwave. That might actually have been the 90s. Uh, there's just so many products that come on the market, even now. Hundreds of thousands of products come on the market and just vanish without a trace. But let's see if I recognize any of these. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get into it.
When am I supposed to add this?
Feel the power of the new Nokia N-Gage QD from Singular.
Just swipe the cat across a special cube.
Okay, right off the bat, I remember the Nokia, and I actually remember this. I remember this. I can't remember what it was used for, but I remember it.
Vote and watch.
The early 2000s were buzzing with futuristic hype. Y2K was behind us, flip phones were king, and tech companies churned out bold, quirky inventions. From robotic pets to wearable keyboards, it felt like the future had arrived. However, not all innovations stuck. Some flopped hard due to being too strange, too early, or simply useless. Join us as we dive into 25 innovative products from the 2000s that failed miserably.
Zune HD is a next-generation entertainment
Zune.
experience.
Let me tell you something about Zune. I don't know why, but some people, when they plug their Zune into their computer, it saw it as a virus. I've seen it happen to more than one person, and I have no idea why it did. But Zune was a flop.
With HD radio, HD-compatible video, and an elegant multi-touch OLED screen.
Imagine it's 2006 and Microsoft unveils the Zune to challenge Apple's iPod. It had wireless song sharing, a bright screen, and a tough, scratch-resistant shell. However, despite its solid features, the Zune never provided users with a compelling reason to switch. Apple had already sold millions of iPods, and Microsoft's artsy, obscure ads failed to connect with the mainstream. Critics called it completely average, and the clunky music store and DRM limitations didn't help. Market share barely reached 4% by 2009, while the iPod continued to soar. Even Microsoft insiders admitted it was too little, too late. The Zune
Overall, from what I remember, though, was not bad. It was just, it had issues. I knew someone who had one, and she had nothing but problems with it. So I think it was just, they tried to put something out there, try to compete, and they didn't really market it that well, in my opinion, to be honest with you.
master in design. It just lacked timing, bold marketing, and leadership. A good product alone couldn't topple Apple's empire. But if a good product with bad timing couldn't win, what happens when style tries to sell a phone without the substance
And I remember this thing. I remember seeing that thinking, what is that? They were trying something, and it just didn't work.
to back it up? Imagine a phone line designed purely as a fashion accessory rather than a communication tool. That was Siemens Zelibri. Bright, wild shapes, runway-ready design.
Is that a black guy or a white guy in blackface? Who was a white guy in blackface?
Was Siemens Zelibri.
What the hell? Why?
Bright, wild shapes, runway-ready designs. People were supposed to buy these because they looked cool, but inside they were basic phones, capable only of voice and SMS, with no camera, no color screen at launch, and awkward keypads. Despite big advertising splashes, these models sold poorly. Only around 780,000 units shifted in 2003, less than 2% of Siemens' total handset volume. The Siemens name barely even showed on the phone, just on the battery cover. Fashion-forward customers also wanted tech, but the design-forward crowd found them impractical. Sales tanked, and the entire line got canned by mid-2004. This experiment faded fast, proving that style without substance, especially in electronics, makes a product a fad, not a hit.
Yeah, and not to mention the bad commercial. What was that?
We heard you, loud and clear. You wanted more performance, merged with the BlackBerry features that have always kept you productive.
Released in 2003, the BlackBerry Quark was a game changer. It wasn't just a phone.
This is one of those products, they had an opportunity to do something and they dropped the ball. They didn't change with the times. It happens. Some companies just don't know how to transition, and that's what happened here.
It was a mobile command center. Business users could check email, send texts, make calls, browse the web, and manage their schedules, all from a single device. With its signature QWERTY keyboard and compact utilitarian design, it quickly became the go-to for executives and politicians. At one point, having a BlackBerry meant you were important. However, as touchscreens gained popularity and apps proliferated, the once dominant brand lost its edge. By 2016, BlackBerry had completely exited the mobile hardware market. Still, its influence shaped what came next in the mobile world. And speaking of devices with cultural cachet and tech swagger,
what if you were prepared for all those interview curveballs?
one phone defined the cool factor of the early 2000s.
When am I supposed to add this?
Snoop wants to know when to add the fabric softener.
I don't know. Ask what's his name.
Flipping open a Sidekick was like cracking a digital treasure chest.
Yeah, that was the fun everybody wanted. All the rich people had sidekicks. Everybody wanted a sidekick. They were pretty neat. I'll be honest with you. I thought they were interesting.
With its slide-out screen and full keyboard, the Sidekick was a texting powerhouse that dominated the early 2000s. Developed by Danger, a company founded by ex-Apple engineers, the device was sleek, playful, and way ahead of its time. Teens loved it. Celebrities flaunted it. From chat rooms to T-Mobile ads, the Sidekick was everywhere. It allowed you to browse the web, instant message, and post to social media before these things were routine. But eventually, touchscreen smartphones muscled in and made the Sidekick feel dated. It bowed out, but not without leaving a legacy of style and function.
We have the almighty Sharp Actius laptop.
What?
This is a massive machine. Just take a look at the dimensions here.
I have no idea what he said. I'm not rewinded.
As every port known to man, I have counted.
Meet the Sharp Actius RD3D, a laptop from 2004 that boasted glasses-free 3D viewing using parallax barrier technology. Sounds futuristic, right? But the reality felt like a gimmick. To see the 3D effect, you had to sit perfectly still and stare exactly at the screen. Any head movement ruined the illusion. Worse, the system slowed to a crawl in 3D mode. You paid roughly $3,000 for a 12-pound bulky laptop with eye-straining visuals and just about 2 hours of battery life.
What did you need the 3D for, actually? What was that for?
The content was scarce, the performance was poor, and the comfort was non-existent. PC World later listed it among the worst tech products ever. So yeah, instead of being ahead of its time, it became a cautionary tale. Innovation must be usable. If not, it's just novelty under a flashy name.
Novo Moto Rocker com iTunes.
Hello, Moto.
The Motorola ROKR E1 made a big splash when it was announced. The first
I kind of remember this phone. I remember Motorola had a whole line of phones back then that were ahead of its time.
feature iTunes, thanks to a collaboration between Motorola and Apple. But excitement quickly faded. Why? It only supported a maximum of 100 songs, fixed by firmware, not by memory card size, and utilized USB 1.1, resulting in painfully slow transfers. No fast data transfer, a laggy interface, basic design, a lack of camera, and an underwhelming battery, users found it sluggish.
I thought I saw a camera. Hey, there's a camera on it. Hold on, I know I saw a camera. Right there. Isn't that a camera? What? Okay, let me go back. Yeah, what is that? If that's not a camera. You said no camera, right? I gotta find where it was.
Design, a lack of camera, and an underwhelming battery, users found it sluggish. Worse, Apple released the iPod Nano the same day, supporting hundreds more tracks. Weak execution and poor specifications led people to refer to it as the Croc R sarcastically. The hype fizzled.
Singular wireless. This is old. I just got that. Oh man, I'm feeling old.
As users realized they still loved their iPod. This phone taught everyone that branding isn't enough. You need a full, smooth experience. Think that was a misfire? The next one tried to game the system, literally.
Feel the power of the new Nokia N-Gage QD from Singular. Insane graphics and the latest titles. Get yours at Singular Wireless, rated T for teens.
Nokia attempted to reinvent mobile gaming with the N-Gage, combining a phone and a handheld console. Its concept was bold. Flip to the side, play games like a Game Boy. But execution? All wrong. To change games, you had to remove the battery. Taking a call mid-game was next to impossible. The antenna on the side gave it a distinctive look, resembling a taco, and the awkward button layout was unfriendly for gaming. Developers struggled to optimize games. Sales collapsed. Nokia admitted it sold barely a third of what it expected.
Yeah, when it came out, it was revolutionary, and but from what I remember, people complained because you had to turn the phone on its edge in order to talk on it. Like you didn't have the face against like the face. Like you had to turn on its edge to talk. You didn't talk with it like this. It was like this. Yeah, so that was weird in itself. But yeah, it was. I remember when it came out, people were like, "Oh, I want one," but yeah, it didn't meet the hype.
Killing the series by 2006. While innovative in spirit, the N-Gage's poor design, usability woes, and lack of developer support turned it into one of the decade's biggest flops.
You have the right to be in your house when a delivery is made. The right to open your front door and be met by a friendly face. And the right to have someone else unpack your groceries.
Not a gadget, but one of the most ambitious tech failures. Webvan promised next-day grocery delivery within 30 minutes in major U.S. cities. It built massive fulfillment centers, invested hundreds of millions, and went...
So it was trying to be Amazon before Amazon. Or was this around the same time? I mean, Amazon's not even Amazon right now. But, yeah, there was a lot of... When Amazon came out, there was a lot of companies. But right now, Amazon's king. And it's the same premise. Although I don't understand the delivery buckets. It was like, I don't know what the point of that is.
Public with huge buzz. But customer demand lagged. Within just 18 months, Webvan had burned through over $1 billion, lost approximately $830 million, and filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in July 2001. Their expansion was too rapid, infrastructure was too expensive, and consumer behavior had not yet caught up. While reviewers gave the service high marks, shoppers simply weren't ready to switch. Today, similar models thrive, but Webvan had no lean operation, no scalable demand.
So it sounds like it was poor management, is what it sounds like. It was ahead of its time, but yeah, just poor management is really what it comes down to. If they had grown slowly and responsible, they'd probably still be around.
Just a bold vision and busted execution. It's a textbook case of crashing from overambition. Long before cloud integration and smart assistants, Google Desktop offered a taste of the future. Launched in 2004, it provided PC users with a personalized dashboard, featuring a search bar, email previews, RSS feeds, weather widgets, and more, all from the convenience of their desktop. It turned your cluttered hard drive into something searchable and streamlined. The sidebar was customizable, sleek, and surprisingly addictive. But as Google shifted focus toward the web and mobile, Google Desktop was quietly retired in...
I don't remember that at all, actually. Maybe I do remember. I do remember Google had a search bar you could have on your desktop. Is that what it was called? But overall, I don't remember it being called that. I think that's my problem. But I remember them having something on your desktop. There used to be a lot of little widget stuff you could have on your desktop, which really no one used. Especially with the mobile phone, those people just use their phone for all that stuff. So, yeah. I don't remember the Google Desktop Search. I don't remember it being called that.
2011. Still, for many, it was their first experience with truly personalized computing. And just as Google pulled the plug, another digital tool was rising fast. A colorful, intuitive app that made planning your week feel effortless. Sunrise wasn't just another calendar app. It was the calendar app for people who wanted their schedules to look good and make sense. Clean interface? Check. Cross-platform syncing? Of course.
That was like Outlook. I wonder if this is where Microsoft got it from. Did they buy them? Well, no, it's supposed to be flops, so we'll see.
Integrations with everything from Google Calendar to Facebook events? Absolutely. It quickly became a favorite among productivity enthusiasts, and Microsoft took notice, acquiring it for a cool $100 million in 2015.
So this is not a failure. This must be failures. This isn't fail. Microsoft bought it.
After, Sunrise was folded into Microsoft Outlook, delighting Outlook users but disappointing fans who preferred Sunrise's minimalist design. Still, it helped set a new standard for how digital calendars should function.
Now you can access web pages even...
Yeah, that one's not a failure. Not if they made $100 million. That is not a failure. I don't know why it's in here. That should not be in here.
Easier and faster than before. Just swipe the cat across a special Q code and watch the exact web page you want download right before.
Oh, you know what? That's like what we got now with the QR codes. So this was ahead of its time. That's pretty interesting. That's why I said I vaguely remember that. You know what? I think I remember it because I saw it in another YouTube video. I don't remember seeing it like being advertised in the real world. So that's probably why I remember it. But yeah, that's basically like the QR codes we have now. You scan the QR code and it'll take you somewhere.
Your eyes.
Remember the Q-Cat? It was advertised as a smart little cat-shaped barcode reader you clip into your PC. The marketing was wild. Newspapers, magazines, even Coca-Cola and Radio Shack paid to ship these to millions of people. Supposedly, scanning barcodes would whisk you straight to related websites and offers. But, in reality, it was completely useless. First, it forced users to sit in front of their computers with print media, super clunky. It collected clicks tied to unique serial numbers, raising major privacy concerns. As the Wall Street Journal's Walter Mossberg put it, the device fails miserably and is just unnatural. People called it a pointless gadget with no real value. It ended up in Time's 50 Worst Inventions and PC World's Worst Tech Products list. The company collapsed by May 2001, and investors lost nearly $185 million. Q-Cat remains a symbol of hype over function, great marketing, zero utility. Gizmondo.
So it says it's like what you got to do now, what you do with the QR codes now. So it kind of was ahead of its time. I do not remember Gizmondo at all. That does not look familiar.
Early 2005 with ambitious promises. GPS, camera, downloadable games. Feels futuristic, right? But behind the slick demos was chaos. It came with only about a dozen games, had terrible battery life, and the screen was tiny. Developers walked away. The brand was new. Stores hardly stocked it. And then the company hit a scandal when executives were arrested for fraud. Sales plummeted, and Tiger Telematics filed for bankruptcy in early 2006, barely a year after launch. Worst of all, it's still considered the worst-selling handheld console ever. The concept was cool, but the execution was shallow, and internal drama sealed its fate. It's a textbook case of overpromise and underdeliver. Think handhelds had it rough? What happens when a gaming giant...
Yeah, Sega had it. And then the Dreamcast, I was going to get one, I never did. But from what I understand, it was a good console. It's just poor execution. I sold all my Sega stuff back in the day. Now I wish I had kept it because it's worth money. But at the time when I sold it, I actually needed some money, so I just sold it and got a few bucks for it. But yeah, the Dreamcast, from what I understand, was a good console. It just poor execution. Sega had a history of abandoning its previous titles. Like if you had a Genesis and you went to Sega Saturn, then the Genesis games got ported over. And they just kept doing that. They just abandoned all the old games and moved on to new stuff whenever they came out with the new console. And it's like when Sony and Xbox came around, they didn't do that. So Sega was done. And Nintendo didn't do that. They kept their names, kept moving forward, and they would bring the old games over. But for whatever reason, Sony or Sega just wasn't doing that.
Stumbles.
This right here, I've been wanting to get to this for so long. The Sega Dreamcast, one of my favorite consoles, right up there with the original PlayStation.
The Dreamcast launched in late 1999 and 2000 as Sega's bold leap into the 21st century. Online gameplay, sharp graphics, and a strong launch lineup. Fans were excited. However, here's the catch. Sony's PlayStation 2 emerged almost immediately afterward, offering DVDs, cutting-edge graphics, and massive marketing. Sega just couldn't compete. The Dreamcast sold below expectations, struggled to maintain developer support, and Sega pulled the plug by 2001. Despite being beloved by hardcore fans and showcasing innovation, online multiplayer was introduced before other consoles. It was still a huge commercial failure. The price pressure, timing, and PS2's immense popularity made Dreamcast obsolete before it could thrive. It marked the end of Sega.
Yeah, I don't think they really thought it through when they came out with it. Maybe they should have held up. I kind of wonder if they knew about the PS2 and pushed this out when they should have waited. Sometimes that happens. I would like to see Sega come back in the game console, because they did make some good consoles. I can't deny that. And they bring back all their old titles from the beginning all the way to now. On the new console, they put out a new console. Oh, it probably crush everything out there.
His hardware ambitions. Microsoft Kin emerged in 2010 as cool phones designed for social.
These look familiar, but I don't remember them. Because, like I said, there was a lot of stuff. I just thought of something. This one right here, I think I saw it at Walmart. I remember it just popped in my head like I saw it at Walmart. But yeah, Microsoft tried so hard and just... I do remember them trying to do a cell phone. I don't remember the name of it. But yeah, the interface, they tried to do something different with the interface, and it just didn't work.
Social-savvy teens. They had automatic cloud backup, social feeds, and design flair. However, they lacked App Store access, charged a $30 monthly fee, and had limited storage for contacts, photos, and music. They looked nice, but couldn't do much. Sales were catastrophic, under 10,000 units sold in months. Microsoft pulled both Kin models by mid-2010, barely into their first production run. Analysts called it a colossal misfire, misreading the youth market, undercut by pricing and functionality. Microsoft faced embarrassment as the product vanished so fast that it barely registered in tech news.
When it comes to portable media devices, Sony does it again with their new Milo personal communicator. Short for My Life Online.
Sony.
I vaguely remember this. The shape of it looks familiar. I didn't know that was what it was stood for.
Greeted the mid-2000s with Milo, a My Life Online handheld device that allowed users to browse the web, chat, and stream music without a phone contract. Initially, it sounded great, a Wi-Fi-based media gadget, tiny and social. However, stores didn't stock it widely, you couldn't easily grab it at Best Buy or Target, and the software wasn't polished. The second version, released in 2009, attempted to address issues, but by then, users had already shifted to smartphones. Milo never gained traction. Despite decent hardware, it lacked the convenience of cell service and apps. Sony quietly dropped it by the end of 2009, making it one of the decade's forgotten oddballs.
Honestly, if they just added cell service to it, it probably could have still been around. You never know.
Milo quietly faded out, but what followed was an even more baffling misfire from Google itself.
It's called Google Wave. It's a communication and collaborations tool that we're launching later in the year.
Google Wave was a bold attempt to replace email and chat, combining both with real-time collaboration.
I don't remember that one either. Give me a sec. Oh my God, I felt that coming on. Yeah, I don't remember Google Wave. I don't recall that at all. In the early 2000s, there was so much tech stuff. I mean, it was next to impossible to keep up with all of it. But yeah, Google Wave does not sound familiar at all in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, I believe this is probably before Gmail. So, but yeah, Google Wave doesn't sound familiar at all. Maybe it came out I can't even talk. Maybe it came out with Google or Google Mail. I don't know. Google Mail. I can't talk. With Gmail.
Users to think, type, and edit together. It launched in 2009 and seemed almost magical when it worked. However, most users found it overwhelming due to its messy interfaces, steep learning curve, and confusing terminology such as waves and robots. People simply didn't understand how to use it or why it was necessary. Adoption never picked up. Google officially pulled the plug by 2000.
You know, this looks like some stuff I've seen recently. Like I saw an image of Slack, and Slack kind of looked something like this. I have only used Slack a few times, but I've never seen an image where Slack kind of looked like this. Like it had all this interface stuff. And there's a lot of chat stuff now that has an interface like this. I think it might have been ahead of its time.
12. Innovation didn't save Google. Wave, the timing, UX, and utility fell flat. It now lives in startup lore. Ahead of its time, well-intended, but never usable at scale. And it taught Google that complexity kills broad adoption. Microsoft Courier never made it to store shelves, but its story is legendary. Touted around 2008, Courier was a dual-screen, tablet-style sketchbook for creatives. Imagine digital notebooks where you draw, drag, and spit out ideas across foldable screens. Tech blogs and insiders raved about the concept, calling it magical. However, Microsoft terminated the project internally in 2010 before it could reach the market. Rumor had it that CEO Steve Ballmer worried it would cannibalize Surface or fail to compete with iPad. Instead of innovation, Courier became a ghost, a what-if in digital design history.
It's interesting, but it's pointless. I mean, if they were doing the Surface Pro stuff and iPads were out, this is pointless. Why would you buy this? Unless it was a bigger screen, like you could unfold it and it was a bigger screen, yeah. But it seems pointless, to be honest with you. It looks cool, but it's pointless.
Left fans disappointed, but they still had dreams to pursue. Despite never selling a unit, Courier's cancellation speaks volumes about internal politics and vision roadblocks at big companies.
I don't remember this.
Sony's Roly was adorable. A little egg-shaped music robot that danced and spun to your tunes. You could even program routines and share them online. Marketing promised whimsical fun for your bookshelf. But fun doesn't always equal value. Roly cost around $350, few people bought it, and stores barely stocked it. Following a slightly improved version in 2008, interest in the project dwindled entirely. PC.
They actually should bring this back. Because it was that little robot thing everyone has. I don't know the name of it. A lot of people have that little robot thing they have sitting on their desk and it does stuff. They should bring it back. It can compete against it. Oh, they should have it interact with that and be like, I was first. Although it could be the grandson of this thing. I don't know. Does Sony make those little robot things? Don't know. Actually, don't care. They're cute, but they're also pointless.
World placed it among Sony's funniest failures. At heart, Rolly was a flashy novelty with no practical use. Choreographed wiggles don't beat actual speakers. It flopped because users couldn't justify spending hundreds on a dancing speaker egg when phones and portable music players offered much more for less. A neat toy, but a dud where it truly mattered. Mass appeal.
Segway says it'll stop producing its iconic PT scooter beginning in July. Factories will be halting production July the 15th.
Remember when everyone thought the Segway would change cities forever? It debuted in 2001 with promises of futuristic personal transport that was fast, sleek, and eco-friendly. Investors, techies, and urban planners.
I like watching the Segway videos where people got hurt. That sounds horrible. But most people who had Segways, in my opinion, it seemed like every single person that had one was not a nice person or a rude or an obnoxious individual. I mean, it was a cool looking toy. They even tried to get the military to use it. It just didn't work. It was really impractical. I don't think people there was a steep learning curve from what I understand to ride that thing. So you had to be careful because if you moved too far forward, you went down. So you had to be careful.
This was the gadget that would replace walking and cars. But in reality, the Segway was expensive, around $5,000 at launch, heavy and restricted.
You can get a cheap car for $5,000, even still now.
By local regulations. Many cities banned it on sidewalks. It wasn't intuitive for most people and therefore failed to gain widespread adoption. Instead of busy streets filled with people gliding silently, Segways mostly became novelty props for mall cops and tourists. The hype was immense, but consumers didn't see practical value. It still exists today in niche rentals or security contexts, but as a consumer product? Dead on arrival. Infinium Labs promised the Phantom, not a console, but a device that streamed games from the cloud to your TV via a sleek wireless keyboard pad called the Lapboard. Game downloads, no discs.
You know, it's funny, they're doing that now. That's what we do now. So this is definitely ahead of its time.
Future tech. But the Lapboard finally shipped, and the Phantom console never did. Buyers received a chunky, poorly performing touchpad keyboard that felt expensive but delivered nothing of value. The company faced delays, lawsuits, and disappeared into legal limbo before producing any real product. Consumers were left holding their empty promises. It's a cautionary tale. Hype without execution leaves users empty-handed. Even after years of anticipation, the device looked cool in a video mock-up. But reality was non-existent. When Microsoft announced Vista, people expected a sleek upgrade from XP, improved visuals.
Vista crashed. Vista was horrible. Had so many bugs. I don't know what they were thinking with Vista. And I think this is where they also put out another phone. And they used Vista on that phone. That might have been a phone from earlier. But yeah, everything was supposed to be connected like Apple products are connected. That's what Vista was supposed to do, and it just didn't work.
Better security and new features. Reviews early on were glowing. However, soon after its launch, users reported crashes, slow performance, high memory usage, and persistent compatibility issues. Many older PCs couldn't run Vista at a decent speed, and hardware manufacturers struggled to produce drivers. The infamous UAC pop-ups annoyed users, and many developers didn't support it. Business Insider labeled it one of the most overhyped flops of the decade. Vista quickly earned a reputation for being a bloated and clunky operating system. Microsoft rushed out Windows 7 just a few years later to repair the damage. Apple fans were surprised when the company released iPod Hi-Fi in 2006, essentially a high-end, dockable speaker system for the iPod. Logic followed. Apple knew music. iPods were popular. Surely this would be a hit. But the product felt overpriced at $349 and offered no Bluetooth, no radio, just sound from a docked iPod. Reviewers described its sound as decent, but not worth the premium, and it quickly disappeared from stores.
The thing is huge. Why is it so big? They still have docks, even like this, for your phone now. But yeah, this thing is huge. It makes no sense.
After only about a year and a half, Apple discontinued it. It didn't make sense in a world moving toward wireless. In hindsight, it was a well-made gadget that missed the mark. An expensive stereo box in an era shifting toward portability and app-driven players. A rare miss in Apple's lineup, showing even giants can misread the future. Oakley, known for its sporty shades, attempted to merge technology and fashion with Thump sunglasses, featuring a built-in MP3 player right in the frames. They looked cool and tech-forward.
They don't look cool. They look hideous. They look like something out of a sci-fi movie. Yeah, no thank you.
Had your music built into the frames, eliminating the need for wires. But in action, they were bulky, stiff, and rigid. Battery life was short. Storage capacity was tiny by later standards.
Oh, you stored your music on them? I thought they were going to like connect to your phone or something. Nah, and also, what if I don't want to wear my glasses? I just want to listen to my music. Kind of pointless.
Most users found them uncomfortable and impractical. For that novelty, you paid a few $100s, you got awkward wearing, weird sound, and outdated music capacity. They didn't catch on, and Oakley eventually removed them from its catalog. It's an example of merging two concepts that don't always add value. You have to do both well. Thump became a novelty museum piece rather than a lifestyle gadget. Imagine strapping a computer to your belt, wearing a forearm keyboard and a headset over one eye. That was the Cybernaut Poma, marketed in 2000.
Two things. One, this looks familiar, and two, it looks familiar like I've seen it in sci-fi. I think they used this in sci-fi movies. But yeah, this looks familiar. I may have seen it in passing. And this is like the Google glasses, because Google tried to come out with something like this probably years after this one. But yeah, no one wants to wear glasses with their computer in their face. It seems like a novel idea. And when you see it in sci-fi movies, it looks cool, but the reality is, no thank you. But that's a lot of stuff on you, man. I'd be afraid of getting electrocuted.
2002 as a revolutionary wearable PC, way ahead of its time. Priced around $1,500, it ran Windows CE on a tiny, foot-thick processor with minimal RAM.
That's what it was, Windows CE. That was what they used on their mobile devices. Like, what if they'll bring up, well, towards the end, they probably won't bring it up. I think that's what they use on the Windows, on the Microsoft phone, was Windows CE.
And battery life. However, instead of looking futuristic, users resembled the Borg from Star Trek, thanks to the bulky optical display, wrist keyboard, and clunky controls. It was slow, uncomfortable, and impractical. Sales never took off. Fewer than 10,000 units sold over its lifespan.
Right there, doesn't that look like the Google glasses? It really does look like them right there.
And by 2005, Cybernaut filed for bankruptcy, having lost over $162 million. In the mid-2000s, Fossil attempted to carve a niche with the wrist PDA, aiming to create a watch that ran Palm OS.
That's so funny because now everyone has the digital watches connected to their phones and stuff. Even my wife has one. But to me, I love going back and looking at all this old tech that was way ahead of its time. Like if you go back to like the 50s and 60s even, and 70s, you'll see tech that was ahead of its time. There was a car that had all that car stuff in it. I can't even think of the name. Like it told you what your car needed, and it was ahead of its time. And now that's standard in most cars anymore.
Marketed as a high-tech timepiece, it promised calendar access.
Is that the pin for it? Where was that stored at? Is it stored somewhere? Was it stored in here? Now I wonder how it was stored.
Email preview and lightweight.
Oh, I wonder if it was not stored. Because if it wasn't stored, man, I would have lost that.
However, when it finally launched in early 2005, the device was too small for real usability, featuring a tiny screen, a fiddly keyboard, and slow performance, and the novelty faded quickly. Users found it impractical compared to smartphones or PDAs. Few retailers stocked it widely, and potential buyers rarely had the opportunity to experience it firsthand. Without a compelling ecosystem or update support, the Arista PDA sank quietly into obscurity.
All right, so that's the last one. I don't remember this one at all. But the fact that again, this is ahead of its time. They have smartwatches now. You know, so many people have them. Yeah, I think it's fascinating to see this stuff, to see how a lot of stuff really was ahead of its time. Some of it was pointless and really didn't serve a purpose, but still, you know, they tried and it just didn't work out. But yeah, I like watching these type of videos. Even when I was a kid, I would watch all this tech stuff on TV. There's so much tech stuff in there that comes and goes. You're not going to know it all. It's not possible. But anyways, I don't know. Just for some reason, watching this made me feel like a kid again. Like I said, I used to watch this as a kid. There'd be like a PBS show going over tech, or even when they had the tech channels and stuff, like Tech TV and all that. But well. All right, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and everyone take care. Later.